We are recording. Welcome.
Yay.
Yay. Welcome, Brit from
Hi. Yes.
Kamloops. Actually, I always say Kamloops wrong. I don't know why. Like it's
How do you say it?
Kamloops, but I'm like Kamloops. I say it
Kamloops.
with an N.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say it with an N my whole life. Like, wow. You're from Kamloops? Yeah.
Yeah, Kamloops. There's an N in there.
So welcome into Coffee Talks.
Thank you for
Yeah,
having
exactly.
me.
You're so good. Oh, look, an orange
Oh,
kitty.
here
I
he
knew.
comes.
Yeah.
Star of the show is
You,
here.
you knew. Look at
Yeah.
that. So cute.
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's go back because we met at K-Spin,
Yes.
and which is obviously in Kamloops.
Yes.
And a shout out to the whole team there. Sammy, who's in Antigua. Gotta
Yes.
get Sammy on here. Oh
I
yeah.
know. She's making us so proud in her little med school and all the things.
She's so
So
crazy.
great. I know.
So
She's
crazy.
so great.
Okay, so we met in, was it 2017?
18.
18.
Yeah, I think it was September of 18. Yeah.
You were the second phase, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I think our original was 2016, 17. I don't even, oh my God,
I
I don't even
feel I think it was 17 because we did our 6th year recently. And we just, yeah, I think it was 17. I don't know.
Oh, crazy, 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 crazy. Wow. So you were in phase two. And then how did Samantha find you? I can't remember.
Well, I was riding there and they had just like put out a post for training and I had just kind of like I had ridden a couple times and like it was funny because when I did my training, I don't think I had ridden for like a month and a half. And I just like saw it and I was like, screw it, whatever. I'm going to be out of shape. This is going to suck, but I think this is something I should do. And like, there was never a point before that where I was like, I want to be a spin instructor. But just like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, this seems like something I should do. And like, just
Yeah.
never looked back.
Never looked back. I love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Literally, you haven't. I love it.
Yeah. It's true.
Okay, so did we do 2 training weekends? This is where it's
Yeah.
so good to have like all of you as my memory. So we did
Yeah.
2 training weekends.
Yeah.
And what did you think? Because there's a lot of people that will email me and they'll be like, hey, I want to do the training, but I'm out of shape or I'm not conditioned. And I'm like, for me, first of all, the online is 6 weeks now,
Mhm.
before when we were banging it out in the weekend, but
Yeah.
you were able to get your conditioning up.
Yeah, I mean, like it was I specifically it's so funny because every time I like there's so many times in my head where I'm like I'll say something and I'm like, "Oh, that's Tash." Like you just like speak through me so much. It's so funny. But there's like something that just like hardcore stayed in my memory was because you had like done a chat with us and you were like, "Okay, you're about to ride the last spin class that you will ever ride as a rider." And I remember going into it and being like, oh God. And then that was the time, like, I think you were having like stomach problems and you were like, started like, I've gotten like that on the mic too. And I was like,
No,
oh
no,
my God,
no,
so
no, no,
bad.
no. That was the class I puked.
Yeah,
Into the
that
bike.
was, that's
Oh
what
my
happened.
God.
And you
That
kept
was
teaching and you kept teaching. And I was like, and I remember because you like walked out and came back in and we were all like, what is happening? And you just like kept going. And none of us knew until like later that afternoon when you told us. And we were all like, what?
okay, this is a great story. Actually, let's back this one up because, of course, Samantha get to hang out with Sammy G. Obviously, I'm staying in her house. Like, it's all happening.
Yeah.
Eating mini wheats, like just dry mini wheats, blah, blah. I'm not going to eat too much. And then it was only supposed to be all the instructors. And then Samantha, well, I invited a few clients. I was like, oh God, here we go. And I'm teaching. And it was the last time I ever did a pickup legs race. Remember the
Mhm.
PBL race? So I come out of light jog, whatever, boom, right into 30-second race.
Yeah.
Barf. All water and mini wheats, but like and luckily that day I grabbed 2 towels.
Yes.
So nobody could see.
No.
Uh, I think someone thought I ate the mic ball because I got up. I
Yeah.
was like, literally, I puked water, mini wheat, into 2 towels. And I was like, you all didn't even stop the class. Like, you
No.
all keep going. Yeah, all right. Or, even slow legs. Let's build up again. Walk out of the room. Was like, I need another mic head. Do we have another mic? And
Yeah.
Samantha's like, no. I was like, God. So I literally pulled the ball off. I don't even know. We found another one, put it back on, went back in and finished the class.
Yeah.
And that was I don't know if I've ever puked before that. Maybe, probably, but I definitely like that was the end of my that insane intensity. It's like
Yeah.
puked. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So then when I like, it's funny because after you said that, like later in the day, I was like, oh, okay, I wasn't the only one that was freaking dying in there. Like because I was like, I'm not gonna be able to do this. There's absolutely no way. But like I remember going home at the end of the day and being like, what have I gotten myself into? And I was like, no, like just like see it through and see how you feel. And it was
Yeah.
like, I'm so thankful that I did because I was exhausted. I'm not gonna say that it wasn't like the 2 weekends was like even hearing now how you do training. Like I think that anyone who can have you for that amount of time like should definitely do it because
Yeah.
it was so
Yeah.
beneficial and there was just like having you as that resource because I think even on the second weekend like it was less intensive and more just like one-on-one and that was so helpful
Yeah.
and having that and like just knowing that we were all kind of dying in there and we were all in it together so it
Oh,
worked.
I mean, I puked.
Yeah, that's true, made me feel a lot
I
better.
the best was covering it up. Shayna had thought that I ate the mic ball.
Yeah,
And then that was it. No one else. They just noticed that I just left the room but came back in, but it was unbelievable. I was like,
yeah,
this is actually unbelievable.
yeah,
But this is where even taking the 6 weeks now online is learning the tracks gradually and having a week to practice them. Because
yeah,
we basically threw, and still when we start studios, it's 2 to 3 training weekends. Like nobody's getting past without having 2 to 3 weekends when it's live. And we just throw shit. It's like, woo, throw. Okay. The
yeah,
next weekend, see who practices. If people don't come practice, they're out. And then we have another weekend and it's
yeah.
crazy. It's
And we
crazy.
did the same thing. Like we did our 2 weekends and then we had like a certain number of rides and then we would obviously do
Yeah.
like our community class and get like feedback and we'd have to ride one-on-one and it was like it was so helpful and it was just so like the intensity of it was very, very helpful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the gradual build, right? Like it's just, it's
Yeah,
a river.
it
It's a,
is. Yeah.
yeah. And I've brought it down, obviously, like since the pandemic. I can't even ride at that level anymore after getting the OG coronavirus.
Yeah.
I got the
I am
OG
so
one.
I got it in earlier this year and the one thing it didn't affect was my lungs. Everything else like screwed me, but
Amazing.
it never hit my lungs. And I was like, I'm so happy for that.
We're
But
so happy. I have like
yeah.
3 inhalers. I had exacerbated asthma 6 months ago.
God.
It was like, oh my God, yeah. But I have probably about 5 inhalers. I love them. Fuck it. So I
Yeah.
just lower the intensity for me. And after the pandemic, that's where we kind of introed with the steady pace warm up and just easing
Mhm.
people in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it was crazy. So then you started teaching, and
Yes.
then and I remember in the last training weekend, and that's where it was like um I yelling at your legs because you have shrapnel in your
Yes.
legs, right?
Yes, I do.
When did you tell us that versus me being myself and being like, fuck you, shrapnel, fuck you. Like I
I
was
think
yelling at your thighs.
you were. You were. Yeah, that's true. That
And can you
100%.
remind me why? I'm like, why was I
Yeah.
doing that?
Yes.
Like,
Why are you doing
I
that?
know the story behind which, if you want to share, that's
Yeah.
great. But you know,
Yeah. So I was in the shooting in Las Vegas in 2017.
yeah.
And it was funny because when I came back, I was actually living down in the States. And then I came back. And shortly after that, I took my training. Like it was all just kind of like boom, boom, boom. And that
It
was probably one
was
of the
how
reasons
how quickly after was it?
it was less than a year because it was my 1 year when it was like right after my 1 year that I actually like got on the podium and got back and like like passed my community classes and was actually like live teaching. And so when I came back, I think that was one of the things that I was like, I need to do something different. Like, let's just see how this goes, see how it happens. And I remember I was in a class even after I came back and I just like the instructor that I had, I just like fucking broke down. Like I always tell people, like, dude, I cried my first class. Like, you're fine. Like, you didn't puke, you didn't cry, you're good. Like,
Yeah.
I'm here. This is where I started. Like, you can do it too.
Yes.
And because it was funny because I was talking to one of the other instructors recently about like our training class, because there's, I think, 4 or 5 of us that are still from that training class that are still
Mm.
here. And we
Yeah.
were like, that was like an emotionally bonding experience. Cause I remember we had like a circle and all of us just like cried. And it was just like, and that's when I told all you guys about it. And everyone was like, what the heck? And so
Oh,
that,
the
and
circle
that's
of love. That's what we call it. Remember the
yeah,
circle of love?
exactly. Yeah, it was our big bonding circle. But yeah, that was on the second weekend you did that. And then, yeah, I was teaching off the bike that weekend too, because for some reason, there was like something, I don't remember what it was, but I remember I was teaching off the bike and you were like, and then you were yelling at me.
I
It's
definitely
good.
did that.
That's why I love
And
you.
you do have shrapnel in your leg still.
Most of it has come out. I had at one point I had 8 pieces total. I have 2 left. So I have one in one of my legs, but the one came out like after that weekend.
And it
So that was
actually
like
like
crazy
came,
for me.
like I don't understand. It just came out, like it started
Yeah.
pushing.
Yeah, your body just pushes it out. And I have one piece that you can like, it's always like my party trick. I'm like, you want to feel something cool? Because there's like so much, obviously there, I know, this is how I deal with my problems. There's so much like scar tissue and stuff built up around it that you can like feel a full thing. But a lot of it was so surface level just because of like the type of bullets that were used and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That it wasn't too bad. And like I get lead testing all the time. Like my doctor's like, if it's not going anywhere, if your body doesn't want it out of you, like it's gonna cause more issues. So
Oh, it is going to cause
yeah.
more issues?
Well, if they were like to take it out.
Right.
So
Okay.
my doctor's just like, let's stay on top of it. And like if anything comes of it, like it's
Mhm.
fine. It never bugs me. So
Wow.
it is. Yeah.
One of the things for me after hearing that, and I've trained one other person as well, is I literally, I know that you were there, but I was like, any song with gunshots, because there's so many songs with gunshots. And I was like,
Yeah.
not one song with gunshots.
Yeah.
None,
Yeah.
none,
Yeah.
none. And that was
Yeah.
a song, like I remember going to Samantha and being like, none. And even my other girl and that studio, I was like, never. Like,
Yeah.
because I can't even imagine, like, first of all, I can't imagine what even happened.
Yeah.
And like, I don't even know how triggering that would be. Like, I just can't. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it's crazy too, because now, I mean, like it's almost been 17, it'll be 7 years this year. And so for me, there's even like certain songs that I'll like want to use and like obviously listen to it beforehand. And like some days I'll be like, no, this is not going to go over well with me today. And I just take it out.
Yeah.
You know
Good.
what I mean? Like it's just, you just have to know what your triggers are and where you're at and just go from there.
Yeah. That's so good. That's so
Yeah.
okay. So then you taught for a year,
Yes.
right? You
So
taught for
I
a year.
taught, yeah, until early 2019. And then I just kind of had to, just like some personal things were going on. And I just kind of had to take a step back and take a break.
Yeah.
And then, of course, COVID happened and everything else happened. So the world went a little cray cray. And I feel like super lucky because I obviously like kept in touch with Samantha and me and her have built like such a good friendship that it got to a point where I was like, I really want to come back. Like, what will that look like? And we worked it out. And then, yeah, we did a big reno at the studio this year. And
Yeah.
like in with Sam and our other owner, Sid, we were like, okay, let's maybe do it as like a welcome back to the reno, like put you back right back in there. And that's what we did.
It's been
So
so
now
good.
we're back.
You're
Yeah,
back and you love it. Like you love it.
so much. Yeah. I like didn't realize how much I missed it until I got back up there and I was like, oh man, this is such a big part of my life. Cause like you don't realize when you're in it, like what's, you know what I mean? Like what effect it has and like the effect that it has on my mental health and everything else is like so huge.
Yeah.
Um, just to like to be able to help people in that way and like have that connection too is just like it's just next level. Like it's so much more than just sitting on a bike.
I know, isn't it? Yeah, that's the famous last words, right? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, we're going to take you everywhere on a bike that goes nowhere.
100%.
Mm.
Exactly. Yeah.
What would you say? I was going to say, I wanted to ask you your biggest aha moment. I would say either biggest aha moment since training, like doing the training, but also, or turning that biggest aha moment since coming back, like after the training or seeing, I don't know, like something that you're like, oh, I remember this from training or da da da, like biggest aha.
I mean, there's so many, that's a tough one because there's so many times where like I said, like I'll say something and be like, oh, that was Tash. You know what I mean? Like you
What's
just
an
speak through
example? I love that. I'm like, oh, there was Tash. Like,
just like
it's
certain
got to be
times.
the spin voice. It's got to be the big voice.
100%, 100%. Like when I talk like this is not how I sound when I'm on the bike. And even like when we have new riders, like I'll go through an overview and I'll like talk like this. And then I get up there and I'm like, "Roar," like it's a different person. Like I'll see videos of myself. I'm like, that doesn't even sound like me. Like that's, there's a different person up there and it is 50% Tash. Like that is what that is. Like that is 100% what that is. So yeah, and
It's
you know what I mean?
actually
There's so
you.
many-
It's
Mhm.
actually you. It's your biggest boost. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's you.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
I
so
think
funny because sometimes people are like, oh, I don't know. You know, a lot of people are introverted and they turn around and they teach. And some people might think, oh, I'm more introverted or I'm powered within and da da. And you literally get up there. And again, that's a huge part of our training is building the
yeah.
confidence and da 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 and just getting up there and your biggest best self. And it's like
Mhm.
the most introverted person can rip it,
Mhm.
like rip it up
Yeah.
there.
And it's funny too, because like even one of my things is like the person that I am on stage, I like work to try to bring that person into like every aspect of my
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
And that's something that like even one of my friends and like because I play rugby and like even one of my friends was like, how do you bring the person that's in that spin class like onto this part of your life? And that's like just something that, you know, I still work at and it's like kind of cool to see is it's like how can I take that into every other aspect? And I'll even tell people like in when we're doing like our inspo track, I'll like say that and be like, how can you take like what do you need to take this feeling that you're feeling right now and bring it everywhere else in your life? And
Yeah.
that's like kind of a cool thing that I like to do because it's something that I, you know,
Yeah.
struggle with. And I that's a really big part of it. And also like
Love
whenever this is like you're always in my head because whenever I'm like cueing stuff, you're always like, if you find yourself doing something, you know, everyone else in the class is doing something. So like when I'm cueing, I'll be like, oh, chest up, shoulders down. Like I'm like, oh no, I feel myself doing this. I'm like, okay, everyone
Oh
else is
yeah.
probably doing
Oh my
it.
God.
I'm doing it.
A
It's
hundred
like
percent. Like
like
literally, I started videoing myself because I was like, when I say chest lifted, am I lifting mine? Because especially as I got older, I was like more I'm like, oh, but
yeah.
literally I would look at people in class. I wouldn't even have to say anything. And then I remember Donna Rudy, like just right away, I'd look at her and she'd be like,
Yeah.
I didn't even have to say anything and people would lift their chest
Yeah.
or the
I like
non-verbal.
yeah, I tell our new instructors, I'm like, solid 70% of my cues are things that I can feel myself doing wrong. And I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, I need to straighten this. You know what I mean?
yes.
Like,
Yeah.
because if I'm doing it, we know everyone else is feeling it.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And when everyone gets tired, their heads are down, dinner. So it's like eyes on me. I want to see you. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So tell me about like rugby. So do you get back into the I didn't do this perfect or it wasn't good enough or whatever? And then that's where you need to channel like
Yeah,
what
I'm very self-deprecating. Very much so. Like I'm so and I will tell anyone that knows me from that space in my life, like I am the most self-deprecating human about what I do out there. And it's like something that I'm actively working on just
it's
because
so
I'm
hard.
like, no, like
It's so
I
critical.
get up on a freaking podium and you mic me up and I'm like, woo, but I go out there and I'm just like,
I don't know why that has to stop.
oh,
That has
I
to stop.
know. I
It's
know.
so bad. I don't know if that's because I think you are ADHD with me. Are
Yes.
you? You
Yes, that's
are.
how we
So
bond. It's one of the many things that we bonded over.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Yeah.
But that's a big thing I mean, like, listen, it's a big thing with everyone, but for us, we definitely like the perfectionism. I couldn't even, here's the deal. Let me back that up. I couldn't even play on a team.
Yeah.
The pressure I would have, the anxiety I would have to do everything right for the team, or if I fucked up something, it would fuck up the whole teams. I can't,
Mhm.
I could never, to
Cash,
this day, to this
I
minute, I can't do
literally
that.
the last two seasons that I've played, people have like I puke on the sidelines.
Yeah.
It's just, and I've been playing on and off since I was 13, so that's like 19 years I've been playing. And I still like there'll be times when I'm just like, nope, I got a chundy because I get in my head that much. And it is 100% just what I am doing to myself. And it's
Yeah.
like, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe this is it's just my brain.
No, but it is. And but how do we bring the confidence of you on the bike into rugby? Because at the end of the day, you're doing better than me. I would never, like, never did I play team sports once.
Yeah.
I remember in Lake Louise in early 90s, we had this little thing, and I have stigmatism. So I've like my eyesight is shaped whatever, more oval than round. I don't even know. And I remember we were on volleyball. I can't even play volleyball, but I didn't go for the ball to do this because I thought it went over the other side because my eyesight.
Yeah.
And I remember like Brenda, one of my besties, like, what the fuck? I was like, oh my God. I thought it would,
Yeah.
that was it. I'm never like, you are 10 times better than me because I never even would do it.
I mean, don't say that because I didn't even play. Like I'm like not even playing this half because I'm just like, I mean, I'm gonna go back next year, but this is like I just get in my head and I'm just like, meh.
No, but that's amazing. The fact that you've even done it this long, that's
Yeah.
amazing. But
Yeah.
also, I think that there's the other aspect of like, you've done it. Do you
Mhm.
want to keep doing it? Because also the injuries, like for me being like I've been on the bike since I was 27. I fanatically went to classes. I fanatically started teaching. I fanatically all the years. And now I like ride and I have my hip aches like crazy. I can't even sleep on my right side in bed. I have tendonitis in my ankle. My left knee shoots like just pain. Then it's fine. Then it shoots pain. And it's like, is it worth it? Like as you get older, are the injuries worth it? Right? Because apparently
Yeah.
we only have this one body till death do us part. Like,
Bullshit.
unless I can replace everything. Like, I'm like, I don't know if you're also not wanting to go back, like maybe you don't have to fight it and maybe it's time to move on. But I don't know. I don't have that decision because you're already
Yeah.
pulling
I
it.
mean, like that's a huge thing that I'm processing right now. It's funny because like I got an injury last summer, and the one thing that like doesn't aggravate it and really helps it is spin. And so I think that like as soon as I turned, because it was a knee injury and it's like helped it a lot. And it's funny because whenever we're like stretching, I'll be like, oh, this is my bad leg. And everyone like laughs at me because it's like everyone can see that I'm just like in pain. But I think that like when I turned 30, the first season that I came back, because I was just like, oh no, I can do whatever. I
Yeah.
can play. I don't need to train. I don't need to do stuff outside of it. I'll just show up to my 3 days a week and,
Yeah.
do my best and they'll be fine. And like as soon as I turned 30, I was like, oh, holy shit. No, I actually have to like keep my body up if I'm going to keep doing this to it.
Yes.
So, I mean, spin has been incredible for it because I find that like, I mean, it's an 80-minute game. And so my endurance is there and like I don't feel as gassed, which is huge. And yeah, it's been really good for that. But I just, yeah, we'll see.
Well,
We'll
I
see what
would look
happens.
up.
I would love to keep playing because I love it so much and it's been such a big part of my life.
What
And
about
like it's
coaching?
I'm not a coach. I don't think I can. I get like even watching the gals, like I go out and like support as much as I can. Even watching on the sidelines, I get so frustrated. Like it's really hard for me, but I still do it because I want to be
But
there
how
to
do you channel that into telling them, like, hey, what if you could do this play? Like, what if you,
see. And I don't know. I've tried coaching before and I just like didn't feel like I could express what I needed to. I mean, it's definitely something that has been discussed with like one of my old coaches and me just when I like talked to her about all these things. She's like, "Hey, why don't you give back in coaching?" And I just like don't think I don't know if that's which is funny because I coach with spin,
yeah. But
but
you, the thing is now you do coach with spin. I bet you could do it with fresh eyes. Like,
yeah, that's true.
because, and also, what about younger kids? Like, what about the
Yeah.
young, the 13 to 15 to 20? And you're like, hey, what about this play? Or remember that the advantage, there's many disadvantages to ADHD. The one advantage is we see everything everyone else doesn't see, which I
That's
don't
true.
understand why everyone else doesn't see it. But I've already been like, I was assessing instructors before I ever took a training. I was like, why are
Mhm.
they doing an upright row like this and body pump? It's like this, boom. Like I
Yeah.
was insane, and really to go back to the bike, because the bike is low impact, which is why you feel better and your knee feels
Mhm.
better on the bike.
Yeah.
But for me, I've been on the bike, like, so I'm going to be 53 in a month, 2 months. And I've been on that bike since I was 27 obsessively. So even though it's low impact, it's a repetitive movement that I've done
Yeah.
over a million years. And that's why people are like, oh, are you still teaching? Like, but and
Yeah.
man, can I sit on Zoom for 2 hours? I could talk about spin for 20,000 hours. I love it. Oh, I love
I know,
it.
me too.
I'm
Yeah.
so passionate about it, but do I want to teach anymore? No,
Yeah.
no, no.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, like I think a time will come where I'll have to make that decision. I don't know if I'm there yet, but we'll see.
yeah. That's
We'll
very
see. Yeah.
amazing. I love that. So
Mhm.
basically, one of the biggest aha moments is how do we bring the confidence that we feel up on the stage or the podium into the rest of our lives?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just like remembering that, like I always, again, like you're just like a little voice in my head now. It's just like whenever I think about like the ride and stuff, like it's not about me. It's not my workout. It is about every single other person in there. And so if I like leave a workout and I look at my Apple Watch, I'm like, oh, I only did 100 calories. I'm like, I don't care. Everyone else had a good class. You know what I mean? Like if I want to ride for myself, I will go to someone else's class. That's that's what it is.
Mic
Yeah.
drop. It's
It
a
just
class.
it is what it is. Like if I have to show up and I have to give that to everyone else because that is what I'm there for.
Yeah.
Like it's not about me. I will be the first person you can ask anyone that's in my classes. I will laugh at myself and be like, "Oh,
Oh,
what do I do?" You know what I mean? Like and like I'll be like, "Oh, I love this song." And I literally have this thing now because this is the human that I've become where there's like certain Taylor Swift songs where I have to move my mic to scream the lyrics at people and then I'll be like, "Okay, do your thing." Like that's just, you know what I mean? But
I would
other than
just keep the
that, like
mic up. I would keep the mic up and I would sing at the top of your lungs, like, do it. Because at the
Tasha
end of the day,
scream.
we're not lip syncing. It's like sing the song. Maybe don't sing the whole song. That's my advice. My advice is karaoke, forget about it. But
Yeah.
well, I guess karaoke, yes, sorry. When you're singing into the mic, but just not the whole song.
Yeah. I
But
know there's a
girl,
couple instructors that do it and I'm like I can't. I just
yes,
like
you can. Oh my
I
God,
gotta
Brit,
scream.
that is your next phase, is like singing the lyrics to the class. All right, everyone, like, oh my
Ah!
God. First of all, her new album came out, and it's
Oh
funny because I
no.
was never, not that I was never a Taylor Swift, I just didn't know much about her.
Mm,
And that song, the 10-minute song and the video she made, oh my God. What's
yeah.
that song called? Oh God.
The All Too Well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh. And then she did, my hair's in my face. She did on SNL, that 10-minute version that's on SNL
So
of,
good.
oh my God, her singing it is insane. So I think it was in 2021. Let
Yeah.
me record it.
Yeah. I like,
That's when I got into her. I was like,
yeah.
this is insane.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I've done two Taylor Swift rides since I've been back, and I'm doing another one next month because I'm like, oh, she released a new album. This gives me a chance to do another ride.
I also, so the song Florida on the new album with Florence and the Machine, I've listened to
Yeah.
that probably 200 times since Friday.
Yeah, it's so good. That's my
So
thing. I'm
good.
listening like it's so funny because I have to be like, am I listening to this for me or am I listening to this to see if I can spin to it? Like there's two other people that are listening to this. I need to choose what one before I turn this on.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? Hey, I love that. Um, so I guess that answers that question, because I was like, what advice would you give your younger self if you could go back in time?
Um, Probably advice that I still give myself all the time is like just keep going.
Just keep going.
Like it's just you just got to keep going. And like I even like struggle with that still. Like I'm very open with people about, my trauma and my mental health and my ADHD, and like there are times when I'm like fuck this. Like why am I doing this? And you just got to keep going. And it's just I mean like it's shit, but it's going to pass.
Yeah.
So,
One foot in front of the other.
yeah, exactly. I still tell myself that all the time. So,
Yeah, I do too. I do too. Like, it happens. It happens all the time.
yeah.
Do you think the trauma of the concert, like, do you think that amplified your ADHD, or did you already have it, or just, yeah,
So I had underlying depression and anxiety growing up, because I am female and females have come a long way in ADHD diagnosis.
yes.
My doctor at the time just thought that it was like I had a pretty interesting childhood. And so that was a big factor. And they were like, oh no, you're just like, I remember specifically going to my doctor and him being like, how's your depression? And I was like, pardon me. And he was like, oh yeah, by the way, you're depressed. And that was like the first diagnosis that I ever got. And I was like, pardon me. And I think I
And
was
did you
probably like,
know?
no,
You didn't even know. Did you
no.
feel low?
I just thought that that was what people felt like. And
Yeah.
I just thought that that was normal. And like my dad's like my best friend, and he's come a very long way because even growing up, he'd just be like, no, you're fine, you're fine. And that's such a blessing of what like my trauma has done to everyone else in my life, not done to, but like how it's affected everyone. Is It's brought a lot of grace into our life, and a lot of like even like my dad will talk to me about it now and be like, oh yeah, like I remember you talking about this, and things will come up for me and I'll be like, oh, maybe this is anxiety, maybe this is how Brittany's feeling. And so it's been really interesting for that. But talking to my doctor now, when we found out, it was actually like peak COVID because I had just been told like anxiety, depression, da 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 da. And I was on different medication for it because obviously with like PTSD as well, you have to, you got to do the work for that.
Oh, yeah.
And my medication had stopped working. So I'd weaned off it completely. And then I went to my doctor, and I remember it was in the middle of COVID, and I was like, listen, you're going to think I'm crazy. And she was like, okay. And I was like, I've been watching TikTok. And all of these things, I'm like, this makes sense to me. This is me. This is me. This is me. I'm like, all these people say that it's ADHD. Can we please just like, I know you can't do much, but like
Oh, you were
humor.
just diagnosed.
I was diagnosed in like 2020. And so
Wow.
she was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like my doctor's really good. And so I did like the assessment. And then I remember she looked at it. And if you picture like a deer in headlights, how they're like, she was like, oh, you need medication. Like it was like, and then she was like, no, this makes total sense. You had this when you were younger. Your trauma probably aggravated it to a
Oh,
point where
yeah.
it's become not manageable. Like
Yeah.
that's exactly what happened. So it's very interesting to see how those things all play out.
Well, and especially when you look back, for me as well, I remember I was telling my sister, like, I would be in grade 8 or grade 9, or whatever, every year. I was so scared because I lived on a river road and the school was 45 minutes away. So it was
Mhm.
consolidated. So we got bused in Nova Scotia. But if we missed the bus, it wouldn't be good.
Yeah.
So I was worried the night before about missing the bus. So I finally, like in the morning, get up, like got out to the bus stop. My sister's doing her makeup, Susan Melling, they're all doing their makeup, and because I'm like the bus stop marker when it's freaking raining and snowing. And then I was like, oh yeah, can't miss the bus. As soon as I got to school, I'd start worrying about catching the bus home, because if I missed the bus home, we would never have a ride home.
Yeah.
I literally would spend the whole day planning out my day of how I don't miss the bus home.
Yeah.
And I thought that was normal.
Yeah. There's so many things in my life where I was like, it was either like, oh, you're just lazy, oh, you just don't have motivation, da 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 da. Where I'm like, no, that was never normal.
Yeah.
That was never
No,
a thing that should have been
no.
happening.
Right?
Yeah.
I was diagnosed with general anxiety disorder when I was 30. For
Hmm.
me, I knew I had ADHD because I watched, okay, so wait for this. And I think I told, I don't know, a bunch of you all, but I was watching Oprah, and I cannot, to this day, I can't find the episode. But I was married to my first husband, Jeff, and I was watching Oprah, and it was like, you have ADD when? The whole list, it was like, oh my God, Jeff. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I have ADD. Figured it out completely. Like, but that was it. I just was like, I have it, whatever. I just have to get through it or whatever. Then I'm watching a show on Netflix called Take Your Pills. And I was like, oh my God, there's pills out there that make people focus and I'm not fucking on them. Like I was like, are you kidding? I had no idea, because my stepkids are like 36. Like I didn't know anything. There was drugs in university that all these kids were taking. I had no idea. Literally watched the show and went back to my psychiatrist. I was like,
Yeah.
I want the good shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
for
It's
me,
okay.
my biggest thing was I slept every day from 2 to 4 in the afternoon. Like I slept every day. I would
Mhm.
say I was in a meeting, and the biggest effect, like, do I have more focus? No. The biggest thing is I don't have to sleep all day. I mean, that's life changing.
Mhm.
Life changing.
It's like it helps like my like daily anxiety, my daily depression, like all
Yeah.
of that. Like it really ratified that for me. And I don't even know if that's the right word. That might not be, but it fixed it. It fixed me. And for me, it's the fact that like when I finish my day, I have the energy to like clean my house or like do some chores. I don't just like sit on my couch and be like a sloth for the next 6 hours.
Yeah.
It's funny for me. One of the really big ones is ever since I was a kid, I used to either have a cup of coffee or a Coke before I went to sleep because that was the only thing that would make me go to sleep. Like if I couldn't sleep, I would slam a Coke. And I mean, I still do it. It's not as
Yeah.
bad because I
Yeah.
have like insomnia as well.
Yeah.
And I will slam a Coke and I'll be out. Like caffeine does not affect me at all.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. Okay. So isn't that interesting? Yeah. Yeah. I'm usually up for 2 hours every night. It's insane.
Yep. It's a
It's
thing.
interesting one of the things you said, and obviously we're not advocating meds, but at the end of the day, we both are on them. They've
Yeah.
worked well for us. So each person, you can decide whatever you want to do. But when you said your meds wore off, and that's something that maybe people don't know that do take meds, that they do lose effectiveness.
Yeah.
And for me, I could tell because I started worrying again. I was like, I'm
Yeah.
worrying about this, I'm worrying about that, I'm worrying about this. And if I'm not worrying about this, I'm creating something to worry about. And I was like, oh my God, this Alexa's not working anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Or whatever it is you're on, I knew that it had gone dormant and didn't work. So that's a great reminder for if you're like us and you
Yeah.
start to feel low again, or something, and you are on meds, something's not working, like go in and get that checked out right away. Because like
Yeah.
you knew.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like my biggest thing is like, I'm so lucky that I am like freaking an open book and I talk too much. And I always tell, it's funny at the end of my class, I'm always like, questions, comments, feedback. I love to talk. That's why I do this job. Like literally, because that's just like who I am. And so I'm really lucky that I have that dialogue with my doctor
Yeah.
because I can go
Me
to her
too.
and be like, look, this is what's up. And we can talk it through really openly. And like, I remember being younger and being like scared to tell my doctor things. And I
Yeah.
just like had to get over that because it's like, they're not there to judge you. They're there to help. Like,
Yeah. And
you
now
know,
there's so many online, like I listen to so many, I love podcasts.
me
My
too.
favorite one is Smartless. I can't even, those guys are hilarious. Anyway, but there is an ad, I've heard it a couple times, for like Talkspace, which is like
Mhm.
online therapy. And you can actually go in and again, I haven't tried it. I have a psychiatrist, obviously, but at the end of the day, you can go in and pick certain areas, like they have experts and everything. But at nowadays online, like even you and I right now, like
Yeah.
I can't handle, and I know I talk about this all the time because especially I'm turning 53. I know I fucking love Zoom. I love
Yeah.
it. I'm
Yeah.
sitting here, you're in my living room or I'm in yours, and this is
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Like this
Like
fills
nothing.
my cup.
Yeah.
And I don't understand when people are like, I have Zoom fatigue. I was like, I don't understand. Like, I'm from the era of, I always tell this story, Irish Ryan. Irish Ryan, I met him in Australia. We were meeting in Santorini in 1994, June 1st, 1994. Okay. We're going to meet in Santorini. So left Australia, went to Asia for 2 months, fly to Santorini. I'm like, woohoo. Where's Irish Ryan? He's not here. Well, here's the deal. You can't hop on Facebook or FaceTime or anything. There was no Facebook, nothing.
No. No.
I literally was like, where the fuck is he? And then I didn't realize Santorini had a whole bunch of different towns. So he was there. He sent a postcard. 8 days later, I left. I was literally going around the whole island. Where's Irish Ryan? I can't find Irish Ryan. But I couldn't hop on FaceTime or anything.
Yeah.
And I went to Turkey 8 days later. I was like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And he sent a postcard home and he was in a different city than I was. But I thought there was only one city.
Jeez.
There's not.
Wouldn't happen now. You'd have your Irish Ryan.
Right? And that's the thing. Like for me being I just this age, I guess, I would never get Zoom fatigue. And then people will be like, oh, we're training online. No, I'm not made for online training. I'm like, it's this for 2 hours every week.
Yeah.
Like, and
Yeah.
we don't mute. Like, I'm like, unmute. I have the craziest time about people coming on and muting right away. It drives me crazy. You're
Yeah.
literally teaching people to come on a meeting and mute yourself right away. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no. Unmute. Let's talk.
Yeah. Talk it
Oh
out.
my God. I'm crazy about that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So interesting, hey?
Yeah. All comes around.
Okay, one more question. One more
Okay.
question. If you could pick a theme song, what would it be for you? Oh, Britchie.
Anyone who has been in one of my classes knows this, and I always say it because this is like my kick the doors down song, and I use it as a jog way too much. But definitely Till I Collapse by Eminem.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm always like no song gets me more jacked up than that song. Like if you want to see me just like go nuts, put that song on. That song and like weirdly enough, Jesse's Girl is like another one that gets me so jacked. Like that was like when I
Jesse's
was
Girl, like from my era?
yes.
Oh my God, dead.
Yeah. I
Dead.
like go
I love it.
nuts when that song comes on.
Really?
Like that song and then like Remember the Name by Fort Minor
Oh my
and
God. Yeah.
those three were like
Yeah.
before I would play a game, I would put my headphones in and just like walk the field and listen to those songs and just like get myself in a place. Like those are
I heard what was it? Remember the Name. The
Remember
first
the
time
Name.
I heard that was at One Cycle.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, I play that all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome,
Yeah.
Prince.
That is my song. That's what I do.
Oh, it's so great to hang out with you. I'm so grateful that you came on our little coffee chat.
Anytime.
Yeah, which I was
Yeah.
going to say mine turned out to be a pop chat.
Oh, I
You
think
still
I
had some
had a
coffee.
tea,
You
but I
still got
drank
some
it.
coffee around.
Yeah.
I was like, we're almost at happy hour chat, so I haven't
Yeah.
started yet.
I'm down. Sign me up.
Oh yeah, I know you would be.
Yeah.
I fucking love you, Britt. You're an
I
amazing.
love you.
I'm so proud of you to this day,
Thank you.
to this
Thank
minute.
you. Thank you.
You're so amazing.
Yeah.
So if you want to find Britt, I will put her stuff on the website because I'll kind of upload this to YouTube and then throw it through to my website. But obviously you can just message me. You'll always find Britt.
Always.
I think I have, because I'm so behind in telling people about this. So I think I just talked about Emily, who's the owner of Altspin. And then I have Ditas and I have Becky and now you. So it'll be a little while before we release it, but we're getting there.
We're getting there.
Yay! Thank you for spending time with me. I absolutely.
Anytime.
And when are you coming to Calgary next?
Oh, I don't know. I have to come out there soon, that's for sure.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll be waiting.
Anytime. I'll be there. I'll knock on your door.
Okay, I'm ending this. I'm gonna
Yay.
stop. Bye.